Welcome back, friendly targets. In today's video, we're going to try something a little bit different. This is Memorable Moments of Eve. Interesting situations with commentary. Basically, whether it was epic, funny, or just random, they're the kind of moments and encounters you have that stick out in your memory and you never forget. Well, that's pretty much all I have to say. This is mainly because I have a surplus of footage that didn't make it into last week's cut. Now, I will be drinking a Four Loko over the duration of this commentary while I'm editing the video, so you might hear interesting slurring of words going forward as we progress into the footage. Enjoy. I would like to start off with this. What you're looking at right here is actually the last fight I recorded before my hiatus. I had actually unsubscribed my account in a fit of rage after this situation because it wasn't just this. I had been having constant issues with the ECM and crying, and I made an entire video about it. There was a lot of salt. But thank you so much, CCP. You have heard the community and given solo PvPers a viable means to counter these perma-jam situations. Yes, ECM is still cancer. Yes, I'm still going to be constantly complaining about it as pilots figure out ways to work around the new locking mechanic, but they made a dramatic change to the way it works, something that needed to be done a long time ago. ECM, in my opinion, is a fleet mechanic. It belongs in fleet warfare, a lot like target painters and sensor dampeners and things like that. It should have never been so powerful on its own. That's all I'm going to say about it. Now let's get on with the memorable moments of Eve. Our friendly spotlight of how the heck did you do that goes out to Cadillac for this video for getting this awesome solo Stratios kill in a rupture. He was completely by himself. I was frantically warping to his destination when I saw him and a Stratios on D-scan, knowing that that was not going to be an easy fight and assuming he would need help. Lo and behold, to my surprise, as soon as I landed on field, the Stratios exploded in a glorious ball of death. So kudos and congratulations. It wasn't a full blinged out Stratios, but with the Tech 2 rigs and the faction Enam, I was really scratching my head on this one. Never has the word coincidence had such strong meaning as in this exact situation. Unfortunately, you can't see it in the militia chat is because it's scrolled up a little bit, but earlier in the chat, I was literally talking to Cadillac about that solo Stratios kill. And as I'm sitting in a medium plex, a Stratios warps into me, and I'm in a Vexor. So not to be outdone by the Cadillac, I decide to go for it, whereas normally I would have taken off like a bat out of hell, because Vexors should not be able to kill Stratioses. I assume this was just a newer pilot with lower skill points. His fit wasn't as blinged out as Cadillac's kill, unfortunately, but yeah, I melted his face with Void, Scram, Web, Afterburner. And that was cool. So I had to put them back to back because this situation was, I mean, this was like 3 months after Cadillac got his kill. And we were talking about it in militia chat after I got back. It's YOLO to the face. Okay, this one was a while ago. This is probably the oldest footage I have in storage. Maybe 5-6 months ago. It's a situation that made me feel dirty. Most pilots would just brag about this. But there was no mastermind behind this. I was just out roaming solo in my stabber. And I noticed a Proteus, can't fight that. I noticed a Brutix Navy issue, can't fight that. And then I found this Tyrannus, and I'm like, I could fight that. Well, as I'm kind of like baiting on the side of the gate here with the Tyrannus to see what he'll do, maybe I can get him to aggress and ping or whatever, he sends me a convo. After having a convo sent to me by the Proteus pilot, these were two parties hunting each other. The Tyrannus was with the Brutix Navy issue, and they were trying to jump on top of the Proteus. And the Proteus was trying to jump on top of the Brutix Navy issue, and both of them wanted me to help. Neither of them knew I was talking to each other until I think halfway through the situation, when I had chosen my sides, I decided to tell the Tyrannus and Brutix pilot that I will help them kill the Proteus, and I felt bad. We killed the Proteus, and I felt bad. I reimbursed 50% of the Proteus, and I felt bad. Okay. I didn't really know what to do here. Once I open a convo with somebody, I feel committed. Something has to happen. A fight will go down. Whether I'm on their side or not is completely up to the situation. I don't remember what made me choose the Brutix and Tyrannus pilot. I think it had something to do with old blue standings, because somewhere in this conversation, the Brutix Tyrannus pilot had asked if we were blue to them or if they were still blue to us. Apparently they had some previous relations with Ushirkan, and I was completely unaware of that. If I'm completely honest, I have no idea what my alliance does. I am completely they are at a totally opposite time zone as me. I just enjoy the random camaraderie when I'm online and the kill mails that get linked and whatnot. So that's about as in-depth into my alliance as I go. So this was no diplomatic solution to any situations. This was just me like, hey, I want to kill something, and I think we have a better chance of killing the Proteus. But honestly, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. We just killed him, and then I felt bad. Hope you enjoyed that. I don't know what else to add to it, so we'll just move on to the next one. No fights on this one. I just wanted to say thank you to Sheldon M for hooking me up with a couple extra ruptures. They will always come in handy. Much appreciated. This one is more of a lesson than an interesting encounter. I came into this site and saw what looked like it could have been a three-way encounter with me getting involved. Turns out it was a friendly killing a Stratios with a neutral. At least that's what it looked like to me. I locked up both targets and looked at which one was dying the most and shot the other one so that I could easily get 2 kills. With the curse on field, I assumed I just naturally had friendly backup. And it turns out the rupture was the curse's alt, and he somehow felt that I should have automatically known this without any kind of blue standings being set. Well, I was in a really good mood that night, and having just gotten 2 kills, I was feeling even better, so I decided to go ahead and be a good sport, and I gave the cursed pilot all the loot that I had scooped. Normally, if you caught me on a bad night, I wouldn't do that, and I would challenge your curse to a fight, giving, well, no cares in the world at all at that point. But, hey, what are you going to do? Friendlies are frenemies at best. So any of you with a keen eye who had watched my last video would have noticed that I evolved my Vexor into a Maelstrom. A mighty clever act, I might add. Anyway, since the Maelstrom was free to me, I decided to go YOLO it for the insurance fraud, which inevitably led me to follow a streamer around, a streamer in Abaddon. I had no intentions on fighting the Abaddon. I just knew that because he was YOLOing a battleship around Caldari Galente Lowsec, he was inevitably going to get blobbed by something. And when I saw a Loki tackle him, keep in mind that I had warped this Maelstrom 19 jumps from my home system, I assumed that this was the start of the blob. The Loki comes and holds him down, and then the Abaddon dies. And so I shout out to him both in Twitch chat and in local that I am a friend and I am the mighty savior here to save him. That's not how this went down. This was a solo Loki, for the most part. I mean, this Loki, completely by himself, pretty much killed both of us. A few friendlies did warp in at the end, but it didn't matter. I don't know what kind of unholy tank and engraved freaking modules this bastard had on his ship, with implants and boost or whatever, but he was one tanky little dude. Now, considering the high EM resistance on the Tech 3 from Nimnitar ships, I assume that he's getting at least 400 DPS from the Abaddon. And that's after resistances, keep in mind. Okay, the Abaddon, of course, is doing more than that, normally. Now, I'm trying to plug the hole with my kinetic explosive damage, and assume that between two battleships we could kill him, especially considering he had 2 grapplers and a web on him. That didn't happen. He tanked like the Dickens and killed both of us, so this is really just an enemy spotlight. Random dude in a Loki solos 2 battleships. A few people showed up at the end who I assume were with him, but it didn't matter because he could have completely annihilated both of us by himself. Because once the Abaddon died, I didn't have enough damage to overcome his massive tank. I don't know what he was fitted with, but it was retarded and gave me crazy respect for the Loki and pilots who know how to use them. Kudos to you, my friend. That was an epic solo kill. I hope you recorded it. So, as the content buffet is guaranteed to continue with CCP releasing events every month, which I love. Big freaking kudos to CCP. These events are awesome. Whether or not it has anything to do with PvP, they just keep the game fresh, and every time one of the events comes out, I log in and play the crap out of it for the rewards and the boosters. I love the agency boosters. Anyways, I'm here doing my normal baity thing in a cyclone, trying to get a fight. And yeah, I get a fight. This Praxis didn't want to engage me at first, but when he saw the little rifter point me, the Praxis decides to go for it. And then he quickly realized that that was a mistake when the rifter suddenly exploded, and now he's scrammed. Well, I really want to kill a Praxis. Never killed one before. Only flown one in PvE because I don't know what to do with them. They're too versatile for me to figure out how to do that. I can't wrap my head around versatility. I can only wrap my head around, this is your bonus, this is what you do, now go do it. And then I'll do it and switch it up all crazy like. But anyways, yeah, I wanted to kill a Praxis really, really bad in this situation, but that just wasn't going to happen because this was actually a PvE pilot who knew how to handle situations like this and had backup, of course. Now, I don't know if he was multi-boxing. I think he was, because the Logi that came in to rep him was not too careful about their range. Like, he would rather warp them out and back in than have them keep at a certain range. So I don't know what was going on behind the scene. All I know is I was going to kill something. I am not going to let some PvP pilots get the better of me. And that is not putting down PvE pilots. That was just my determination in that specific situation. I had gotten myself into this mess, and I had to be the one who comes out victorious, or I'm just going to look like an idiot getting killed by some PvE pilots, because I am not leaving until something dies. So, these Logi pilots bounce in and out a bunch of times. I'm not really sure what to do with the Praxis. He has so many mid slots. The tank is crazy, and then he's got reps coming in on him. Plus, I gotta worry about the freaking NPC rats aggressing me and my drones every once in a while. Luckily, they were more preoccupied with the Praxis's drones that I didn't really have to do too much micromanaging on killing his drones to get DPS off the field. Now, I'm on a clock here. I am on a time clock. He is not. As long as those Logis can keep from dying, he is okay and can stay there as long as he wants. I will eventually run out of boosters. That's a problem, considering it's a cyclone. When you run out of boosters, you just sort of die. Yeah, it's not fun. So, I gotta figure something out here. I'm eventually going to try and pull out towards the Logi while making sure I keep something scrammed. And in that situation, eventually the Praxis gets out. One of the Logi bails because I start bouncing my newts between the two Logi pilots. Whichever one I'm shooting, I start newting the other one. Unfortunately, by the time I really start doing this effectively, I've already drained so much of my own cap that it's really hard to keep the other one newted out. But with the pressure from the NPCs onto the Logi, I was able to get a kill. It's not what I wanted, but I'll take it. Okay, so the commentary for this fight is going to not match the video itself due to the simple fact the fight was so ridiculously long that I have to speed it up 4 times. And I have a lot of interesting points to cover during this fight. First of all, I was not in any mood for PvP. I had to go to work in less than an hour. And I was just moving some crap around. I had undocked the station in a Thrasher. I can't remember why. And a Golem about 100 kilometers away invites me to a duel. And it's a Golem in Rens on the hub undock. 100 kilometers out. Okay. So, you know, the red flags, all of course. Nobody in Rens is going to want to duel. The only explanation I possibly have is that this dude was totally drunk, like super drunk. But he was still able to operate his ship to great effectiveness. I guess. Or not. It doesn't really matter. Okay, I look at his kill board. It's a Golem, it's shiny. I figure, hey, it's worth a look. His kill board is all red. He has like complete losses, no PvP experience. I don't know what he's doing. So I say, okay, well, what do I have to lose? I'll fit up a Hurricane real quick, and I'll insure it for Platinum, undock, and take this guy on. It doesn't look like he's going to have any friends around to help him and rep him. And I don't think I have any chance of killing him, but it's Rens, and if somebody sees a Tempest fighting a Golem, interesting things might happen, especially considering this guy was just spamming duel requests all over local. But what really kicked it off was when I declined his duel request in my Thrasher, he said, "Come on, morons," in local, and you know, I gotta go. You know, you can't call me Yella. You can't. You're not a solo PvPer, because then you're gonna open a big can of worms. Anyways, I start fighting this guy, and that frantic clicking you're hearing in the background, depending on what part of the video it's lined up with, is me constantly spamming the scram button. I do this for like 15 to 20 minutes. Just hitting that button. My hand was so freaking tired, I felt like it was going to sleep. I never realized the disadvantage of having a standing desk until I had to click the same button for 15 minutes. That simple, stupid thing like that really gets to you when you're standing up. I don't know why. Anyways, I'm fighting this dude. Other people in local obviously notice that there's a Tempest fighting a Golem 100 clicks off station. That tends to attract some attention. I had conversations start popping up, as I expected there probably would be, and people just asking me questions. I don't exactly remember what they are, but I'm sure you can see them on screen. Anyways, one of my militia members, not in my corp or alliance or anything, I don't think he was. He said, "Hey, how you doing? Can you tank?" Something like that. You can read it on the screen. And I said, tank's fine, but I'm going to need some more ammo and boosters. And dude pops in a freaking hauler and drops off ammo and boosters. I'm like, yes, I am going to shoot him until I am out of everything, because his DPS was pretty weak. A Golem should be able to completely decimate a single battleship. Okay, I'm in a Tech 1 Tempest. I have no implants at all. This is an empty head. I'm using basic boosters, just a standard Exile, and I think I'm using a hard shell when I really should have been using the one that gives you more damage, which I always forget what it's called. Anyways, of course, it happens. They say, hey, you want some reps? And I tell them, I say, it's totally up to you guys, okay? And they start repping me. They undock 2 freaking Excures, and they start repping me. I don't know these guys, but they're just like, hey, he's a loot pinata, because apparently they've scanned him. They scanned him, and they saw his mods, and he was a loot pinata. And they were also able to see the holy grail of information. They told me how many cap boosters he had left. Whereas this whole time, I thought he was just going to permatank me with some crazy, unnootable, nosing fit that doesn't rely on cap boosters. No. He was filled to the brim with cap boosters at the beginning of this fight, apparently. And all tank with very little DPS. And this is just that moment. That moment when they told me how many cap boosters he had left was the moment I knew, oh my god, I'm going to get a golem kill. This is going to be awesome. My first Marauder kill, and I'm going to Tech 1 Battleship. Now, of course, I can't glorify it any more than that, because obviously I wouldn't have been able to kill this guy without the help of the random locals. But can you blame me? I mean, it's a golem in a market hub who's inviting random people to duels. And he's not bait. It's not bait for once. So I had to go for it. And at this point, I'm looking at the clock. I'm looking back and forth at the clock. I'm like, I gotta go to work really soon. My job is incredibly important. I can't be late. This golem has to die. What do I do? And then it just happened. I took my head outside of the box and removed it from what was going on at this exact situation. Essentially, I started watching the screen, not like I was playing the game, but like I was watching a YouTube video. You know what I mean. When you're watching somebody do a PvP video and you see them doing something like they're overheating their modules too long, and you say, why don't you stop doing that? Stop overheating your modules. Why are you doing that? Well, you're not in that situation. You're not surrounded by all this stuff. You don't have to worry about every single thing going on, that you can look at things like this. So I tried to look at the situation as a YouTube viewer and realized I can make him die faster if I stop boosting. He's feeding off of me. He has no newts. He has no scram. He's a pure tank fit. And him feeding off of my capacitor means that it's going to take a lot longer to kill him than it would if I just stopped boosting. So I decided to stop using my boosters. I keep my newts running as long as I can. Occasionally I will boost and run the crap out of my reps, even when I don't need them, with my heavy and my medium newt running, just to try and whittle him down. But trying to keep my capacitor as low as possible so that he can't feed off of me, because then he'll run out of cap boosters faster. I know this is silly, and it's not a big difference. He would have died anyways, but I was on a time constraint here. I needed him to die right freaking now. And that was one of those things where I was able to take myself out of the situation and look at it like a third-party viewer. And you start seeing things in the game that you wouldn't notice otherwise, because you get kind of tunnel vision. You get locked into habits. You know, you're like, at most PvP encounters, well, I got to boost. I got to keep my capacitor up, you know. Well, I didn't need to do it in this situation. I had Logi on the field. Obviously, I'll always have enough capacitor to run my scram and a battleship, especially considering that he's not nuding me. I'm under no cap pressure from him whatsoever. So if he does leave Bastion, I'll be able to keep that scram on. So I just run my medium newt nonstop and burst my heavy every once in a while. And that's pretty much what did it. And he died. And it was awesome. I was in such a good mood. And also I didn't have time to worry about loot. That I said, hey guys, you can keep the loot. I just want the kill mail. Now I gotta go to work. Bye. That was it. They were more than happy to take the loot. And I was more than happy to get the kill, and the rest of my night went by really well. EVE is an interesting game. It can completely ruin or excite the rest of your day. Usually it tends to be the former, but sometimes when it's the latter, it's the greatest feeling in the world. And like I said, I don't want to over-glorify this. Obviously, I would have not killed this golem by myself. I did eventually whittle him down with my damage alone, although unfortunately a random local decided to suicide whore on the kill mail. That was unfortunate. I would have really enjoyed that solo mark, but it wasn't like it was really solo anyways. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. The musical and audio in the background is brought to you by the Judge Sarn, or Judge Sarn, but we call him the Judge Sarn because he is the true judge. Anyways, interesting situation here. In my stabber, looking for a fight. Ferox on the gate, ready to engage. I think that I can take on a Ferox with gate guns on my side, and I still to this day believe that I could have killed him with the gate guns on my side. It evens out the DPS and tank, plus the fact that I can dictate range a lot better than he can due to the stabber's wonderful fall off bonus, that I'm not really too worried about him. Also, looking at his speed and noticing how it drops down when I hit him with a scram, I'm not in really big danger here. He doesn't have a web, so he's just going to be all tank. And, well, up against a stabber, usually all tank dies slowly, but it dies all the same. Well, unbeknownst to me is it was a Sino Ferox. Oh my god, it's a Sino! And see, I'm still in this phase where I remember when carriers drop on field, they rep people. But they don't do that anymore. But at the moment, I didn't remember that. Like, I know it. I didn't know it until I warped off and like, Rick. Oh yeah, the carriers don't rep. I mean, sure, he could probably fit some repping modules on, but they don't get like a bonus or capital reps anymore. So when I warp off, I realized, that's that Ferox, he sinoed on a gate, and he's taking gate guns. I mean, he wasn't active fit, and I assume that's an ancillary fit. And I'm thinking, well, that carrier's not going to rep him. Most likely it's not going to be a rep fit. It's just, you know, DPS, anti-sub-capital fit, whatever. So I was like, okay, well, let's just keep the screen recorder going and see if we get a kill. I don't even have to be there. So I'm just sitting here waiting for the ding. And just like the doorbell,
that's what I want to
bing!
do. Because I got balls. Because I got me a Garmer and a Dremel. Oh my.
Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this format of video. I don't know if this is something I'll do on a regular basis. This is just mainly because of surplus of footage, as mentioned earlier in the video. If I gather a bunch of memorable moments, I'll be sure to make another video just like this. Anyways, we're going to end it with a solo 1v1 against the judge. Rupture versus Rupture, and this did not go as planned. I watch Judge's stream so much, and I'm overly critical of a lot of the things he does. Burning out guns is kind of a big one, but other than that, it's really not that bad. I go up against him in a 1v1, and I figure, well, this guy's, you know, he's the drunk streamer. He's kind of just the meme guy who everybody fights and, you know, kills him. But it turns out that if you actually have the balls to fight Judge Sarn in a 1v1, he knows what he's doing, and he will kick your ass if you underestimate him. I ain't brown-nosing here. This was just a legitimate situation where I was absolutely certain I was going to kick his ass and got my ass handed to me. So, with my head down in shame, I add it to the end of the video. Shout out to the judge. Judge Sarn. Whatever. Anyways, good fight, buddy. And guys, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Happy hunting.